The leader of the Mercosur member countries met on Thursday in Rio de Janeiro, Brazil, for the 63rd Summit of the Head States and Associated States. In Gaza, Palestinians continue to face relentless rally bombardments as it enters its third month. And Russian President Vladimir Putin and his Iranian counterpart Ibrahim Raisi discussed transport, energy, and joint economic projects at a bilateral meeting in Moscow. Hello, welcome to From the South. I'm Ana Rosabal from the TeleSUR studios in Havana, Cuba. We begin with the news. The leader of the Mercosur member countries met on Thursday in Rio de Janeiro, Brazil, for the 63rd Summit of the Head States and Associated States. The event included the return of Bolivia to a regional bloc, the announcement of the free trade agreement with Singapore, and the attempt to materialize the negotiation for the treaty with the European Union. On the other hand, Brazilian President Luiz Inácio Lula da Silva will hand over the pro-tempore presidency of the bloc to his Paraguayan counterpart, Santiago Peña. In this context, Peña announced that if he takes over the presidency of Mercosur, he will be immediately withdraw from the negotiations if the treaty with the EU is not concluded, which could completely paralyze the process that has been going on for more than 20 years. In Paraguay, hundreds of people protested in front of the Congress against pension reform. The demonstrators marched under the slogan, "The funds must not be touched." According to the government of President Santiago Peña, the law simply seeks to create a supervisory body. However, several opponents warned that it is a government maneuver to use retirement and pension funds. In the middle of the session, the Archbishop of Asunción issued a communique asking parliamentarians to postpone the bill so that society can participate in the debate.
We are not talking about just any law. We are talking about a law that is responsible for people's lives in their last years after the end of their working life. People have to live on that, and if the state uses that money as it is used to have debts and in the end pay them with pensioners' money, this is a crime that can't be allowed.
Peru's President Fujimori leaves prison after pardon reinstated. Former Peruvian President Fujimori was freed from prison on Wednesday after a court reinstated the pardon of a 25-year sentence for crimes against humanity. Fujimori, who served from 1990 to 2000, is now in poor health, left Bobardillo prison in Lima and was greeted by his daughter Keiko and son Kenji. Fujimori was sent to prison in 2009 over massacres committed by the Army death squads in 1991 and 1992, in which 25 people, including a child, were killed in supposed anti-terrorist operation. On Tuesday, the Constitutional Court ordered him freed for humanitarian reasons, reinstated the pardon that was first granted in 2017 but revoked by the Supreme Court 2 years later. In Peru, the National Justice Board unanimously ordered a 6-month suspension of National Prosecutor Patricia Benavides. The magistrate of the board took the decision of part of an immediate disciplinary procedure since she is accused of allegedly leading a criminal organization. Furthermore, the official statement emphasizes that the measure aims to prevent any obstacle and guarantee the effectiveness of the final resolution. Meanwhile, the head of the police ministry at the beginning of the hearing stated before the court that she would submit to any type of investigation as long as her constitutional rights are respected. The investigation of the special teams of prosecutors against corruption, the power, and the National Police in Operation Valkyria V alleged that Patricia Benavides leads a criminal organization within the police ministry. On Wednesday, Colombian and Brazilian police forces jointly dismantled 19 illegal gold mine sites in the Amazon, a historic operation by air, and land that destroyed bridges and hid the finances of criminal organizations. Video released by the Colombian police showed huge burning machinery along the Amazon River, while helicopters of the forces fled over the area and attacked from the air. The binational operation is a milestone in the fight against the illegal exploitation of mining deposits and the contamination of a mega-diverse region, the police said in a statement. Environmental authorities, Interpol, Air Force and police from both countries worked for 3 days in the operation, which they called Maloca Grande. This rock deposit had the capacity to extract 23 kilograms of gold per month. valued at more than $6 billion pesos, equivalent to $1.5 million, the institution said.
Illegal economies were directly affected, especially the illegal exploitation of mining deposits. In this operation, exactly 19 dredges that were dedicated to the illegal exploitation of gold were destroyed.
More than 500,000 migrants have so far this year crossed the unhospitable Iranian jungle on the border between Colombia and Panama on the way to the United States, a record number that doubles the records for all in 2022, a Panamanian minister said on Wednesday. More than 500,000 migrants have crossed the dangerous Darien jungle on the way to North America so far in 2023. An all-time record as individuals crossing this natural border between Panama and Colombia. Along the way, they face natural hazards and organized gangs that commit robberies, kidnappings, and rapes. The situation has forced the Panamanian government, together with international organizations, to set up a care center for migrants in different parts of the country. The International Committee of the Red Cross for Mexico and Central America called Wednesday for response of protection and humanitarian assistance for people risking their lives at the crossing. On Thursday, in the United States, basketball player LeBron James sharply criticized his national legal system regarding the possession of firearms. In the aftermath of the shooting on the college campus in Vegas that left 3 dead, the world-famous athlete once again called for a stricter guns control legislation.
We're the only ones who keep dealing with this same story, the same conversation every single time it happens, and it just continues to happen. And, you know, the ability to get a gun, the ability to, to do these things over and over and over, and there's been no change is literally ridiculous. It makes no sense that we continue to lose innocent lives, and on campuses, on schools, at shopping markets, and movie theaters, and all type of stuff. It's ridiculous. It's ridiculous, and the fact that we haven't changed anything. It's actually been a lot easier to actually be able to own a firearm.
Let's take a short break. But remember, you can join us on TikTok at TeleSUR English. We'll find news in different formats, new dates, and more. Our study is coming up. Stay with us. Welcome back. Palestinians in Gaza continue to face relentless Israeli bombardments as the siege in the Strip enters its 3rd month. Israel continues to escalate its attacks, particularly in the southern areas, including the border city of Rafah. Airstrikes have killed and injured numerous Palestinians in various locations across the Gaza Strip. In face of these events, UN Chief Guterres has invoked, for the first time since he came to this position, the rarely used Article 1999 to force the Security Council to address war in Gaza. Meanwhile, the humanitarian situation worsens as the local health ministry informed. Gaza City's Ali Arab Hospital was at full capacity and struggling to keep up with the wounded. For his part, the Al Shifa Hospital, the largest in the Strip, has been reduced to administering first aid and clinical care only. At least 17,177 Palestinians have been killed in Gaza since October 7th, and only 350 were killed in the last 24 hours.
While we were sleeping, we had a recurring nightmare, rubble above us. Everything turned red and there was nothing but death around us. We had nothing to do with it, but it seemed that the house next door was overcrowded. People's houses are full of innocent people who had nothing to do with it. We did nothing wrong, but the Israelis persist in taking revenge on all members of the Palestinian people, old and young.
In this context, at least 17 Palestinian citizens were killed and dozens wounded after an attack on a house in the Mercosur refugee camp in central Gaza. According to Wafa news agency, the house attacked in the early hours of the morning was the residence of the Al-Mashi family, which was home to several displaced families. A similar attack was repeated in the Shabora refugee camp, where 6 older Palestinians were killed. Most of the missiles launched by the Israeli occupation forces in the last few days are targeting the southern city of Khan Yunis, where one of the few hospitals available in the region is still operating.
There were 3 big explosions. Then we saw one more in the apartment upstairs. My brother's apartment was completely destroyed, along with the floor below. There are a large number of dead, about 20 martyrs, not counting the wounded, most of them children and women. It was a direct hit. People were walking in the street. There was no warning. We saw nothing except the attacks on our homes without warning.
Meanwhile, hundreds of citizens gathered at a UN distribution center waiting to receive food and basic supplies. The flood of humanitarian aid to the Gaza Strip has decreased after the Israeli occupation resumed its attacks against the Palestinians. In this regard, about 100 trucks enter daily through the Rafah crossing near the border with Egypt, compared to almost 200 trucks that entered the Strip during the ceasefire between Hamas and Israel. In Palestine, 22 members of the family of an Al Jazeera correspondent were killed by Israeli occupation forces. Nephews, parents, siblings, and brothers and sisters-in-law of the Qatari media network correspondent Mohammed Al-Sharafi were killed during an airstrike on the Jabalia refugee camp north of the Palestinian city of Gaza. Palestinian civil defense teams were reportedly unable to gain access to the bodies. In a statement, Al Jazeera denounced the Israeli attack and said it will take all legal steps to prosecute all those responsible for this crime. The media network further called on the international community and press freedom organizations to do their most to put an immediate end to these massacres and to ensure swift justice for the families of martyrs and innocent victims. We have a second show break coming up, but before we invite you to join the WhatsApp community for our English-speaking audience. You can scan the QR code on screen to join directly and share the link to reach more people. Constant news coverage of Latin America and the Caribbean, as well as the rest of the world. Stay connected and informed with TeleSUR. Final short break, don't go away. Welcome back. European Union leaders met with President Xi Jinping in Beijing during the first face-to-face summit between the bloc and the Asian country. European Commission President Ursula von der Leyen urged Chinese President Xi Jinping to responsibly address and manage the concern that China and the EU have when their interests do not coincide. She also said Brussels and Beijing have to find solutions to global challenges and establish just and lasting peace in the conflicts in Ukraine and the Middle East. The EU attaches great importance to its relationship with China, given the enormous trade and investment interests between the two countries.
China and the European Union should be partners in mutually beneficial cooperation, constantly enhance political mutual trust, build a strategic consensus, consolidate congruence of interests, eliminate all kinds of interference, strengthen dialogue and cooperation, and benefit the people of both sides. We should jointly respond to global challenges and work together to promote global stability and prosperity.
The President of the European Union, Ursula von der Leyen, announced some of the issues to be discussed at the summit of the She stressed the importance of counting on China as a commercial ally.
We'll discuss how to rebalance our economic relation. China is the European Union's foremost trading partner, but there are crystal clear imbalances and differences that we need to address.
On Thursday, Russian President Vladimir Putin and his Iranian counterpart Ibrahim Raisi discussed transport, energy, and joint economic projects in Moscow with the aim of strengthening bilateral relations and discussing the global political realities. The Iranian president was received by the Russian Deputy Minister Alexander Novak and diplomatic staff of the Russian country to later meet with Vladimir Putin in the Kremlin. The two presidents also discussed the siege of Israel and Palestine and the latest events in the Gaza Strip. They further analyzed the bilateral cooperation agenda, focusing on joint projects in the trade and economic fields. President Ibrahim Raisi said in the meeting with his Russian counterpart that humanity is suffering from unilateralism, the manifestation of which can be seen in Gaza. In Russia, the upper house of the Russian parliament on Thursday set the date for the next Russian presidential election. During a meeting on Thursday, the Federation Council set Russia's presidential election for March 17, 2024. In view of the decision, the chairman of the Russian Central Election Commission, Ella Pamfilova, thanked the decision of the Federation Council and stressed that the future elections will ensure the strengthening of the country's development. Similarly, the chairwoman of the Russian Senate, Valentina Matvienko, stated that his decision marks the beginning of the presidential election campaign. In Seychelles, President Wael Rankalawan declared a state of emergency on Thursday, ordering citizens to stay at home after a blast at an explosive store and flooding due to the heavy rains caused massive damage. The explosion happened in an industrial area in Mahé, the largest island in the Indian Ocean archipelago, causing the huge damage at the site and the surrounding areas, the presidency said in a statement. The international airport is still operational and ferry services between islands are running for visitors. All schools will be closed, only workers in the essential services and persons traveling will be allowed free movement. To allow the emergency services to carry out essential work, the statement added, and the photos on the Seychelles Broadcasting Corporation official Facebook account show collapsed houses, fallen trees, landslides, and severe cracks along the surface of roads. In Sudan, at least 86 people, most of them children and women, were killed by floods in the northwestern part of the country. The most affected region is the state of Al-Weda in the northwest of the African country, where the floods have caused the destruction of homes and the spread of hunger throughout the disappearance of large agricultural areas. Dozens of families have been displaced by the floods. Local authorities warned that the affected areas are without food and medical supplies and that some of these communities are at risk of the spread of deadly diseases. They also report that search efforts are being hampered by environmental conditions and that bodies found in the rivers are difficult to identify due to their degree of decomposition. A rheumatoid arthritis drug may slow the progression of type 1 diabetes, according to a landmark clinical trial in Australia. In a world-first clinical trial, Australian researchers have found that the drug baricitinib can preserve the body's own insulin production, reducing the amount of insulin needed to treat the disease. The researchers described the finding as a major step forward in the management and treatment of the disease, and so the work promises a fundamental improvement in the ability to control type 1 of diabetes. It is estimated that around 8.4 million people around the world have type 1 of diabetes in 2021, with numbers projected to rise to 17.4 million by 2040.
With this new trial, we're trying to modify the course of the disease. We're trying to preserve the amount of insulin that the person with diabetes makes themselves. And by doing that, we are putting them in a better position to control their diabetes very well into the future. Instead of managing diabetes once the body's lost the ability to produce insulin, we're actually preserving the natural way that people make insulin. What the drug does is, if you like, it stops the immune system interacting with the insulin-producing cell, and it prevents the immune system from destroying the insulin-producing cell.
And we have come to the end of this brief, but before saying goodbye, we want to thank our Caribbean audience, especially the audience from Trinidad and Tobago, We are pleased to share newscasts and contribute to provide an alternative news source of the latest world events. You can find these and many other studies on our website at telesurenglish.net and join us on social media, Facebook, X, Instagram, Telegram, and TikTok. For TeleSUR English, I'm Ana Rosabal. Thank you for watching.